Okay, Kubrick Lovers 1972 here, back with some more DVDs, TV, maybe one Blu-ray, I guess, or no, we'll see. Okay, so let's get started here. Uh, okay, there we go. So this next one, I think I watched just the starting of. It has what's her name in it? I can't remember her name. I don't even know if it says here. Yeah, I guess it's not saying, but she was Mick Jagger's girlfriend in the 60s. Um, Not Marianne Faithfull, but I think she was Keith Richards' girlfriend first. What's her name? She's European. I think maybe she's Scandinavian. I can't recall her name. But I think she's in this, and Michelle Piccoli is in this, and he's been in some Buñuel and some other directors as well. Um, it's Dillinger is Dead. Oops, and the DVD doesn't seem to be cased well enough. Like fastened on. So that's the art there. DVD's just. Then you got this booklet. I think a fair amount of my foreign movies are Criterion's. A large portion of them are Criterion's, I believe, are Japanese, and Criterion's collection I've looked at a list of their films, and a lot of them that they have in their list in the catalog is of Japanese. So this film is in this magnificently inscrutable late 60s masterpiece, Marco Ferreri, one of European cinema's most idiosyncratic auteurs, takes us through the looking glass to one seemingly routine night in the life of an Italian gas mask designer, played in a tour de force performance by new wave icon Michelle Piccoli. In his claustrophobic mod home, he pampers his pill-popping wife, seduces his maid, and uncovers a gun that may have been once owned by John Dillinger. And then things get even stranger. A surreal political missive about social malaise. Dillinger is dead. It finds absurdity in the mundane. It is a singular experience, both illogical and grandly existential. It's got a new restored high definition digital transfer, approved by director of photography Mario Volpini. The video interviews with actor Michelle Piccoli and Italian film historian Adriano Epra. Excerpts from a 1997 roundtable discussion about director Marco Ferreri with filmmakers Bernardo Bertolucci and Francesco Rosi, and film historian Aldo Tassone, including clips of interviews with Marco Ferreri, and the trailer and a booklet. So featuring essay by critic Michael Joshua Rowan, and 2 reprinted interviews with Ferreri. So you got that. And I don't really know what it's like. I don't know. So we'll see. So now we're getting to Pasolini here. Maybe you can guess like one of the films we're going to show, which is one of the most shocking films ever made. One of the most. It's pretty banned. It's banned in a lot of countries. It's very controversial. But that's not the first one I'm going to show. That's the last one I'll show. Because I tend to, like, when I keep my directors together, I put the earlier releases before the later releases. So We'll start off with Mama Roma, which I have not watched. Anna Magnani is Mama Roma, a middle-aged prostitute who attempts to extricate herself from her sordid past for the sake of her son. Filmed in the grand tradition of Italian neorealism, Mama Roma offers an unflinching look at the struggle for survival in post-war Italy and highlights director Pier Paolo Pasolini's lifelong fascination with the marginalized and dispossessed. Though banned upon its release for obscenity, today Mama Roma remains a classic, featuring a powerhouse performance by one of cinema's greatest actresses and offering a glimpse at a country's most controversial director in the process of finding his style. And it's got the trailer and this too has interviews with Pasolini and featuring about Pasolini, featuring Bertolucci and assistant director Pasolini on Acatone, Tonino Delli Colli, cinematographer in 11 of Pasolini's 14 films, and Enzo Siciliani, author of Pasolini biography, Pier Paolo Pasolini, 1995, a 58-minute documentary by filmmaker Ivo Barnabo Mischelli covering the career of the controversial artist, La Ricotta, 1963, a 35-minute film by Pasolini, starring Orson Welles as the director, who sets out to make a film about the Passion of Jesus. Wow, I didn't know I had that, Looking forward to that. I like Orson Welles quite a bit. Nice color. Of course, Criterion really does a good job with their, design of their... I'm always having my finger over the disc. And the camera you're seeing this from is from my Mac. So, that's why I'm, moving stuff around here and there because I just don't know where to put the things, to put the DVD in front of. I don't even know if there's photos in here. Maybe there's not. No, there's like little art in there. And, I know a few other things about Pasolini. He was a poet. And maybe that's Orson Welles there. You got the Crown of Thorns. Pasolini was a poet, and he also wrote some of this. I've mentioned this, I think, in La Dolce Vita. When I got La Dolce Vita on Blu-ray, I mentioned that. I believe I mentioned, or maybe I mentioned when I showed my previous version of La Dolce Vita, that Pasolini wrote the dialogue for the pimp and the prostitutes in La Dolce Vita. And I guess Fellini and him had sort of a row, like a falling out. And I don't think, no, he's not credited in La Dolce Vita, but I believe he provided a little bit of the dialogue. So next, I've only watched one of these movies. I saw it in a theater, and the other ones I haven't watched. I'm sort of, would the word be reticent to watch some of these Pasolini movies because when I saw the next film, the next one I show you after this particular box set, I don't know if I can stomach his other films. I'm not sure, but and this particular movie that I saw in this box set, it had a particular scene that was kind of disgusting. So he doesn't shy away from controversy, Pasolini, Well, he didn't, I should say, because he's dead now. But so this is the Trilogy of Life box set. It's got the Decameron, Canterbury Tales, and Arabian Nights. and is loaded with stuff. Visual essays by film scholars Patrick Rumble and Tony Raines on the Decameron Arabian Nights, respectively. New interviews with production designer Dante Ferretti, composer Ennio Morricone, and film scholar Sam Rodi. Introduction to Arabian Nights by director Pier Paolo Pasolini. The Lost Body of Ali Beck, 2005, a documentary by Robert Chesky about a lost sequence of the Decameron. Pasolini and the Secret Humiliation of Chaucer, 2006, a documentary by Chesky about the Canterbury Tales. Via Pasolini, 2005, a documentary featuring archival footage of Pasolini discussing his views on language, film, and modern society. Pasolini in the Form of the City, 1974, a documentary by Pasolini and Paolo Brunano about the Italian cities Orte and Sabadell, deleted scenes from Arabian Nights. Pasolini approved English dub track for the Canterbury Tales, Trailers, a booklet featuring essays by critic Colin McCabe, Pasolini's 1975 statement, Trilogy of Life Rejected, excerpts from Pasolini's Berlin Film Festival press conference for the Canterbury Tales, and a report from the set of Arabian Nights by critic Gideon Bachman. So the one I saw was the Decameron, and maybe you can guess what made me kind of feel disgusted about. Oh, I better be careful here because there might be. I don't think there's any controversial photos here. Oh, I don't think I could show that. Or no, I can't show that. There's nudity there, so maybe people wouldn't care, but I'm not going to chance it. And I think YouTube has a policy on that, and just being cautious, and there's Pasolini right there in this dark glasses by the side of the bed there. Pasolini also made a really great film. I think it's a good companion piece to Last Temptation of Christ by Scorsese, and I will be showing my Scorsese at a certain point. But he made this film called the Gospel According to St. Matthew, and that and the Last Temptation of Christ by Scorsese, I think, are the two best films I've ever seen about Christ ever. And the Gospel According to St. Matthew was done on a really low budget. Well, so was Last Temptation of Christ, but like he used like towels and for people, for costumes, and he used ruins, archaeological ruins instead of building sets, and it just works beautifully. It's just, they're great movies. Well, it's a great movie, I should say. I don't know, for some reason it was stuck on. They're stuck together for some reason. I'm just discovering this right now while I'm, doing this. I don't know why that happened. I can't really show that. I don't even know if I can. And that's, hang on a sec. I gotta. These are, I guess, produced by Alberto Grimaldi, who produced Tiracon for Fellini. But these were stuck together. I had no idea. And so I've got a little, you know how like a sticker sticks to a book and then you pull the sticker off and some of the book comes off? And then the last one. Oh, those were Arabian Nights and Canterbury Tales, and this one is the Cameron. And I can't show that. That's a little controversial looking. I had no idea that these were sticking together. Oh, you know what? It wasn't the Canterbury Tales that I watched. It was the Cameron. So anyways, that's the Trilogy of Life. And then he was going to make another series of movies. And I think he only made one of them, and then he was murdered under suspicious circumstances. This is a hard film to watch. I think it's an important film, though, because, I mean, if you look at today, what's happening right now with Trump, and if you go maybe further back in time, like with World War II, which is when this film is set, and you look at various time periods in different countries, and our own country as well, and you can see that this film has an importance to it through that, and basically, what this film I think shows is if a government is left to its own devices, if a government has unfettered power, then they can do horrible, horrible things to people. And I think that's the point of this movie. But it's very hard to watch, and maybe there are other films that can make that point that be easier on the stomach. And I'll explain what I mean in just a second here. So, and I bet some of you already know what I'm talking about. Salo, or Salo. So this film, the plot of this movie is these Italian fascist politicians and military take these young people to this mansion and basically subject them to various degradation and torture and humiliation. And basically, and it's not really a horror movie, but you know, when you watch a horror movie, not all, but some of them, or some like thrillers or whatever, you get to catch your breath every now and then before the next monster comes out of the next corner. You know, you get to catch your breath. And this particular film, you're not going to catch your breath because every incident comes after you and comes after you and comes after you, and there's no stop, you know. And I only watched this once, and I couldn't eat very well for a few days. And even thinking about it sometimes later on, even like a year later, I would what's that word? I would retch, you know, because it's that powerful. So I don't even know if I can. When I look at that's one of the bad guys there. I think even if I don't know what I was going to say, but like one of the scenes in this movie, Pasolini had this as a closed set, And one of the scenes he allowed a press photographer on, and that press photographer said after he had seen, it wasn't the famous scene that everybody sees, but it was another scene which is pretty hard to watch as well. And when time passed and this was released, and it's mentioned here in the booklet, I'm terrible at putting in the right place here, but he said it reminded him of Abu Ghraib in Iraq, with the torture of the prisoners. So basically, these young people are subjected to every torture one of the bad things they're exposed to. They're told to poop, and then they eat their own poop. But it's not real poop. When you find out the special features, it's melted chocolate with flies around it. But they make it look so authentic. Some of the actors, like I think it was 2 actors, actually retched while they were making the movie. Maybe another film I can think about that. I mean, it's a cult film, but it has a kind of like unhealthy atmosphere on the set, and that was Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the farmhouse where there's like all these bird feathers around. I think it was very disgusting smell in there because I saw, what's his name, Gunnar Hansen at a horror convention. He signed I'll show that at some point, when we get there to Texas Chainsaw, or it might have been in the commentary, but they subject him to various torture, and the particular scene with Abu Ghraib, that reminded the press photographer about Abu Ghraib was the scene where they force each other to cut their eyes out and cut their tongues out. So, and this is basically at the end of World War II. It's these Italians. That's what they're watching right there. And I don't know. This is just. But he was murdered. But it is a work of art, and I think it's important. But it's not easy to watch, and maybe some people really can't watch it. I had a hard time watching it. Not that I guess maybe not. Maybe I couldn't watch everything that's like this, but they did say, the actor said that Pasolini was a real nice guy on set, and he wasn't, sadistic, unlike how the film was. I think the set atmosphere was very congenial, if that's the right word I'm looking for. So, and I can't show the other pictures because they're, objectionable. But, there are other films that are like this, I think, that I have not seen. Like, what's that movie called? Cannibal Holocaust, where I believe they actually arrested the director because they thought he had actually done like murders or something. And that turned out not to be the case. In this particular film, Salo was banned in Israel, I believe, Germany, maybe France, I think England. It was banned for a while in this country. Some copies were confiscated in Cincinnati. But, this film and films of this nature, this is why the First Amendment exists in the United States. This is why free speech is so important, in this day and age. And this, we have to have a means of expressing ourselves, and part of that is through art. And that's why films like this are important. Even though they're hard to watch. So there are other films, not just this film, but film, and to more broader term, art is very important in society. And this is one of the reasons why. So, So, you know what? I'm going to end the video now because we're getting close to 30 minutes. I'm not sure if I'll do another one right away. I think I might load up these 3 I just did to YouTube, but we got a few more to go, a little more than a few. We have some Bertolucci to look through, and a little Visconti. Basically, Bertolucci, Visconti, and a few other a few other Italian directors. So we'll leave it at that. And all right, so comments are welcome, of course, and thanks a lot. And I enjoy being in the YouTube community, sharing my thoughts about films and hearing other people's thoughts. It's kind of overwhelming. There's so many people that collect DVDs, but I'm trying to keep track of some people on here. Like Dean. I watch his videos a lot, and I watch what's his name, Gray 1951, Mike, and I've watched Aaron Pin, and who else? Somebody else. Oh yeah, Channel Don Star, Roger. He posts some pretty interesting stuff. So, and there's other things I look at, because I'm interested in filmmaking, so I look at those and some atheist channels, and so various things. Music. I'm interested in music. I don't really know anything how to play it, but I'm interested about it, so I look at that. So yeah. So, anyways,